We are ready to begin step number 5. Step number 5 says place straps on main bag with raw edges lining up, based in place. So we just finished squaring all 4 of our corners. So you can see right now my bag is currently right side out. So I did go ahead, and you can look down inside, and I squared my corners of my outer fabric. I did square my corners of my lining fabric, and now we're ready to move on. So you will need to turn your bag right side out, which is what I've already done here. In order to get our straps to work correctly, typically what I recommend is putting straps. You have one for each side of your bag. So one for this side, one for the far side. I like to lay my strap flat on my table with one side of my bag facing me, okay? You are going to take your strap and have it make a U, okay? Now this is the part that's most important. Once it makes the U, the 2 sides of the strap that are closest to the bag are going to turn in towards themselves, okay? In our instructions, it says have the raw edges lining up, which you can see right now they're lining up. Now, this looks incorrect because our straps are currently down, but eventually when you sew this, our next step is it will flip upright later, and that will give you the start of your strap. If you sew your straps like this right now, and then later we sew the bag under, you're gonna see like the little raw edges, and we don't want to see that. So once again, you're going to have your strap be flat. It's gonna make a U, and then you're gonna turn it in towards themselves, okay? Raw edge of the strap in line with the raw edge of your bag. Now, we also need to make sure that they're equal distances from each side. So you can use your clear plastic ruler, or you can use a seam gauge. I'm gonna use a clear plastic ruler today. I'm gonna start with 4 or 5 inches. Depending on the size of your bag, you can go further or you can go less. So I'm gonna come over here to my seam allowance, and we're gonna measure from the seam allowance in towards the center. And I'm gonna start with 4 inches. So I'm gonna put my 4 inch at my seam allowance. And then right here, there's a piece of thread. I'm gonna go ahead and leave my finger and then mark it with, you can either mark it with chalk. I'm gonna mark it with a pin today. So that's 4 inches from the edge of my bag, okay? We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Use our tape measure or a ruler where our seam allowance is, and we're gonna go over 4 inches and put my finger there. I'm gonna mark it with a pin. So that is where I'm gonna put my strap. If I decide that is too far apart, I can move it closer if needed. So flat U, turn it in towards themselves. I'm gonna go ahead and mark here. I'm gonna put a pin in it. Once again, my raw edges are lining up. And then same thing over here, where my strap is, and my pin. To me, this looks great, okay? If for some reason you wanna move your straps closer, you can move your straps closer. If you wanna move them further apart, you can move them further apart. We wanna make sure our strap is not twisted. So right now, if I lift this up, and that's what my bag will look like later, my strap is not twisted, okay? So it says based in place. So we're gonna go ahead and get this ready to go to our machine. So I'm gonna pull my machine closer. Now, here is something I will tell you about this step that will make your life a little easier. It does say based in place, so we're gonna move this out to a 4, okay? But we can actually take the base of your machine off. You guys know this from the round machine and the square machine. This part can come off, okay? So we can actually put our bag around the base of this machine, so you're only sewing through one layer. We do not want to sew both of our layers together because then you can't get in and out of your bag. So we're going to slide one side underneath, one side under our presser foot, and we're going to sew edge of the presser foot, and we're going to baste in place, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do the first strap. Once again, you can see that our raw edges are lining up here. Baste is no back stitch, it's just a temporary stitch to make sure we like it. I'm going to go ahead and take this pin out once my needle goes down in my fabric, and we're going to sew straight across. And that is it. Right across there. We're going to trim this and cut it off. And then we're gonna move down to our second strap. Make sure it's nice and even. Edge the presser foot, put our needle down our fabric, take the pin out, baste it in place. Turn my hand wheel so my my needle goes up and my take-up lever goes up. I have a couple extra threads down here. We'll just trim those off. Not a big deal. And now we've basted each of these in place. Now you do have to go back and reinforce them. The reason we baste them in place is just to make sure they're in the right spot. Your bag is not twisted. If you make a mistake, it's easy to go to this point, take it out, and do it again. So now that I know my bag is perfect, it's not twisted, I'm gonna move this back to 2.5. And I'm gonna go ahead and repeat the exact same steps again, but we're gonna reinforce it. And that means that we're gonna go forward and backward like 3 or 4 times. So let's go ahead and do that. And that just means if you have heavier items in your bag, that will keep it from ripping or coming undone. So same thing on this strap. Once you reinforce, you are going to repeat these exact same steps for the other side of your bag. Trim off all your threads. The most important thing is that you do not sew your bag together. If you sew your bag together, you're going to be sad and you're going to have to take it out.